3, 2, 1. All right, there will be bourbon. Not tonight, though. I will not be fueled by America's greatest spirit and native spirit. I will actually be fueled by the world's largest old fashioned. I'm gonna go with that.
I will be fueled by some Sierra Nevada
Yeah,
non-alcoholic
that's
Trail Pass IPA.
how many weeks sober are we now?
I'd have to look at my own
I
Twitter.
think it's like I think it's 158 if I look last. I thought
It's something over around that
yeah,
that area.
that is pretty crazy and that's pretty fucking awesome. So good for you, but I'm not gonna go down that path. I'm gonna let you trek it. But Sierra Nevada, like I said, one of my favorite breweries. I've taken my daughter there twice, I think, to the one in Chico for the tour, and then we went to the one that's in North Carolina. It's
Nice.
really awesome place. Like just to see how that stuff's made, it's just super cool. So whether you drink the version with the alcohol or not, it's cool to see that Sierra Nevada's got those
Yeah.
products going. But I will be okay. And so my old fashioned is actually not fueled by bourbon. It's actually a big old pour of Sazerac rye. So there's not even bourbon involved tonight. But
Oh snap.
so I guess tonight you've probably seen him before. It is Brink. He is a former United States Secret Service special agent. He's got a good, cool history in the Army prior to that as well. So, brother, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm a former very special agent. Um, Enjoyed my time while I was there. However, the whole 60 to 80 hours a week kind of burns you out.
Yeah.
I got to bring my talents down to South Florida. Um, and all the joys that were down there. So I got to spend a decent amount of time with a certain individual that we will be talking about here later. That everybody's just got
Uh,
so many questions about
Jimmy Carter,
everything that
was it
happened.
Jimmy Carter? Is that who's the
Well, no, I wasn't playing Weekend at Bernie's. Um, so uh,
Which is wild
yeah,
because on my drives when I was stationed at Benning, I used to drive back and forth from Benning to Florida, and you would always go through damn, I can't remember the name of the town, but where Jimmy Carter's house is, and you see the Secret Service all out there doing their thing on his house. It was pretty cool.
yeah, like that's like one of those details that I guess is like one of those hidden gems, is from what I was told by
Probably
many of the
super
other
chill.
agents that were like former, and
Yeah.
so that's why I personally think that you know they just don't want to give it up, and so they're just propping them up like legit doing Weekend at Bernie's
Yeah, why
because they
would
don't
you
want to
want to
give
give
up
that
that
up?
lifestyle.
No, yeah, I mean, unless you're just really like hard charging, looking for the next thing. I mean, if you're happy to just chill out, like that's such a beautiful area. Oh, and then also, I would be remiss to not mention you are a co-founder of the finest murder cult menswear products.
Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm the less special version of the co-founders of Murder Cult.
He's been on.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, he's the special one. I'm just the less special one. I'm the normal guy.
And then we got
I'm
the logo designer, right? Eddie's still out there doing the designs.
Yeah, Eddie's still helping out. He's been at home, doing whatever he's doing right now. But I
Doing
still talk
murder
to
cult things.
him.
Yeah, so if you want some sweet swag, go to just Google murder cult. I don't even know if that's how you spell it, and you actually go to the website because we got the V instead of the U. But
Yeah, it does use the V instead of the U.
okay, so there you go. Yeah, I wore this shirt recently, and my brother's like, what is that supposed to be?" I was like, the whole murder cult thing. He's just like, all right.
Now,
Damn.
like King, so King Pix, he was telling me that he has one of the hats, and he
Yeah.
was like, dude, I like went to like my kid's soccer game or something, and it was awesome because it kept all the other parents away from me. I was like, there you go.
Yeah, that dude's like, he's fairly close to me. Like we've just haven't had a chance to link up yet now. He seems like a really cool dude.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously the 17,000 pound elephant in the room is a few days ago,
Oh yeah.
President Trump had an attempted assassination on his life. He survived, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that you uh, had a very, prominent and personal, I guess I wouldn't say attachment, but just like that was your world. What was the first thing that
Yeah.
came to your mind? Like, as I know you probably, not just from us, but from all the other people you talk to as well, like you're probably getting inundated with like
Yeah.
text and fucking links to shit. And I'm sure that had to be like
Yeah.
sensory overload.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I can't remember, like, it was either you or I think it might have been you that was the first person to post it in the group chat. Like, um, like just mirrored like seconds after it happened, like on
Yeah.
Twitter, like, and I like looked it up and, like, and I kind of like half-assed looking at this tweet. And then I realized what's going on. I was like, oh crap. So I go run, turn on my TV, and I'm just like watching it and like watching all the replays. Um, and, like just the gravity, the seriousness of the whole situation, especially when, some of the people that, like are, there and, like, and like, then, it's like, holy crap, what is going on? One of the biggest things though that, I always try to like instill in people is like, hey, before you post anything, before you like make any decision, like let's absorb as much as you can, right? Right away. So I'm just trying to absorb as much information, obviously right away. All the crazy stuff started coming out.
Yeah, the world, like you had no idea how many like former
Yeah,
Secret Service special agents there were on like X and other platforms who were
yeah,
immediately ready to critique everything that they clearly know all about.
yep, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like here comes the professionals. I guess they moved on from whatever the thing was last week to this week to be,
Yeah.
an expert on.
Yeah.
We got lots of lawyers and lots of tactical, cool guys. So, like I'm watching it, and first thing I see, like I'm not even thinking of how we got there, right?
Yeah.
First thing I'm seeing is like the people that I know, and like I'm seeing them, surround Trump, and body bury him, like
Which I think was one of
bury
the
him.
things people had an issue with because they just like, why are they not moving him? Why is he just standing
Yeah.
there? And it's
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
let's look around. Where do you want him
Yeah.
to go right away in the moment?
Exactly. It's like, so like they're body burying him, and then they're like trying to figure out what's going to happen next, and then they bring him to his motorcade,
Yeah.
which I don't know, because like I wasn't there, and also I didn't see any footage from beforehand and afterhand. I don't know if they had to reposition the motorcade or not.
Yeah.
And then from there they moved, former President Trump from the dais to the motorcade. And obviously, like, one of the things that I'll give people is they had an issue with the fact that like some of the agents are half as tall as him and not really like able to cover him.
Yeah.
Then once they get him in, you'll see some of the agents like coming in with him, just, and then the motorcade leaves. At that point is like when he can really like, all right, take a breath. What actually happened, right? So one of the things that, before we start going into like some of the conspiracy theory type stuff, like I'm going to tell you how a normal like visit goes with like a protectee, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So former President Trump has his own detail. It's called, the down, like, so DTD, down Trump detail. So former President Trump has, and the SAC was of that detail was the big guy with the sunglasses.
And what is the
like,
SAC? What is that though, for people who don't
so
know?
he's the special agent in charge. So he's
Okay.
like the head honcho
Right.
of Trump's detail. President Trump absolutely loves this guy. He's an amazing individual. One of like the biggest honors I had was working for him, in the past. He truly cares about every agent underneath him, but he also expects excellence.
Yeah.
And he will, after like an event or something like that, he takes time, somebody at his level to like a, normal like GS12, GS13 agent, like he actually takes time to critique them, like, hey, this is what I want in the future, yada, yada, yada,
Like an actual.
Yep. So, and then I recognize, at least 2 to 3 other agents, from the detail. But one of the things that happens during election season is like they'll have agents, like I'm not going to necessarily go over acronyms stuff like that because like that's a little internal, but they'll have like essentially like extra agents to help fill in the gaps,
Yeah.
because him being a former, he doesn't have as large of a team as like say the presidential protective detail.
Right.
And now that we're going on with election season, he's going to be going to so many different places to campaign. But not only does he have that, like every single like nominee, when it comes like major nominee, when it comes closer to election time, gets these teams.
Yeah.
And they pool and draw these teams from all the different local field offices. And it will be a mixture of phase 3. So within Secret Service, a special agent's career, you have 3 phases. Your first phase 1, is at your field office. Phase 2, you leave your field office to go and be on a protective detail. And then you're there for X amount of years. Phase 3 is when you are a senior agent and you're either going to be leadership or there to mentor the phase 1 agent. So what they do is they draw, the phase 3s will be the mid-level management for the like the teams doing the protection, and then younger junior agents filling out the rest. However, even though you're a younger junior agent, you are still expected to do the full scope of the job of Secret Service. It's one thing they instill in you in training, that like on day 1, you're expected to do exactly what a senior agent would be doing. Like there is no like field training time. You are thrown straight into the fire.
I think so that was one of my questions I had down. So this just happened to be, it's happenstance, right? They're in wherever the hell they were in Pennsylvania. So the local office, I don't know if there's one in Philly or Pittsburgh or wherever the city was that they would have been.
So as far as the post standards, right? So when a protectee comes in, like he did, which is going to be like a 1-day thing. He flies in, does his event, flies back out, right? The local field office will be the ones that do all the planning for, so you'll have a lead advance agent, which is in charge of, as soon as the protectee is wheels down, and will be with them, like going to different sites to site until their wheels up.
Yeah.
So they're in charge of everything, and they are in charge of the different people that are in charge of the different sites. Because you also have a site agent who's in charge of a specific site, right? So this event, there would also be a site agent. That site agent has to do very, very thorough planning. There's like a whole checklist of things that you have to do, right? And yes, a lot of times, they'll make a junior agent, like a younger agent, do that to help them grow, help them learn and whatnot. And what they're supposed to do, they're supposed to look at all the potential risks, and they're supposed to cover all those different bases. They're also supposed to figure out how many agents they need for post standing. This is the site agent, right? And so they're also supposed to request support and whatnot. And so as we saw, they had counter snipers and they had CAT. So counter snipers is uniform division, which uniform division, so Secret Service has 2 different areas. You have uniform division and you have special agents. So think of uniform division more as as your street patrol cops, right? And your special agents more like detectives. Special agents are all plainclothes, doing investigations, but then also doing protections. Whereas uniform division, those are the guys that you see all the time around the White House. Yeah. And then they also have motorcycles. They're also the ones in charge of dogs. So with CAT, the only people that can be on the counter assault team are special agents. The only people that can be on the counter sniper team are uniform division. Uniform division also has an ERT, so emergency response team, which they mostly operate at the White House. Like, you know, they also have tactical dogs, part of them. And then you have Hammer, which has both special agents and uniform division, and they do more like, so like think like a PJ light, you know, obviously not as hardcore as a PJ.
Yeah.
So a pararescue guys,
Yep.
for people that don't
Right.
understand PJ. So like a combat fireman. So they do like all the NBC stuff, like the chemical, nuclear, biological stuff. But they also do, so say like the protectees in a building, that building collapses, you know, because of like an attack or just collapses. They're the ones that are going to do, you know, the extraction of the protectee. Like they know how to use the equipment and get them out there. And then they also have the most advanced, outside, you know, his surgeon, they have the most advanced medical training. So those are specialty teams, along with, you know, counter surveillance units, and, you know, and then also like having aerial support, whatnot. That like all counts as specialty stuff.
So these are all components available to this agent who's the site agent that can request them, or is this all something that's kind of
these are all things that they can request. These are all things that they can request, and more often than not, you know, headquarters is going to say, no, you don't necessarily need that for this level of protectee, right?
But for this guy, they would probably get it.
So for, as we saw, there were at least 2 counter sniper teams.
Right.
I'm tracking, I think there was only 2, but, you know, I'm not going to, you know, because I don't know for sure, but
yeah, we know what we know.
Yep. And then the counter assault team only looked like the partial team, not a full team. So they were all in all black. Both of them wear all black. So the guys that you saw in multicam, those are locals.
Right.
Secret Service does not wear multicam. Secret Service either wears all black or Ranger green. The Ranger green is going to be Hammer. So the other tactical teams are all black, right? So what happens normally when you have, especially like this, Secret Service relies very heavily on local law enforcement. So now
you're bringing this up. This is what people are just assuming. This is some giant Secret Service fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's plenty of fingers to point, but
yeah. So like they rely very heavily on local law enforcement, and
why is that?
Why is like, so there's just not enough manning. If you look at usajobs.gov, one of the 2 agencies that's always hiring is Secret Service and FBI, right?
And one of them is very gay. I'm just
and so, like I said, like Secret Service, a whole part of like getting hired on with Secret Service, the very last step, they do a home interview, not for the person that they're hiring, but to talk with the spouse and family of the person that they're hiring, so that they're understanding that you're going to be away from home a lot. You know, like I told you, I went, and I, like, you know, you remember this, I went almost 4 months without a single day off at one time.
That's fucking, like, that's worse than being deployed. it's like really, it really is. It's worse than being fucking deployed.
You know, and, you know, so like they have like the people, to get hired is already really hard. Yeah. Like the biggest part is obviously the polygraph. It's a full scope polygraph, and that's what hems up a lot of people, because a lot of people get in their heads, and I'm not going to necessarily get into polygraphs on this podcast, but I'll just say that
that'll be the next one. We'll do follow up. How to beat the
you know, like that's what gets a lot of people. So a lot of it, like, so they're going to have the Secret Service special agents that are there for protection. They're going to be within the highest risk area, which is where the protectee is. So for him, it was the actual event area.
Right.
Right. And outside of that, you're relying heavily on law enforcement, you know, like, yes, traffic, also like holding buildings, you know, being like, do not let anybody in or around this building, yada, yada, yada.
So, all right. So I think that's the big thing that people need to understand is, like, you know, when you're, whatever everyone saw and watched unfolded. And I'm glad you actually brought it up because I didn't observe or consume it the way you did. You went and turned on your TV. I just stayed on Twitter, man. I stayed on X, which is kind of wild. Like the way stuff just kind of comes and just gets, updated in real time through that. Whereas, TV, it's like whatever, you're kind of whatever channel you're watching. But I don't think people realize that for not several hours. I would say probably days before people realize like, oh, they actually rely on local law enforcement. And man, I can't even remember the name of this town, but and this is not you know what? Whatever. Like, look, we've seen this with Uvalde. We've seen this with a lot of small town police departments. These individuals, I'm glad that that's what path they chose to do, but most times they're not the greatest or the deepest talent pool. Now, I'm sure there's some individuals who are. However, the United States Secret Service was forced because of protocols and just the way standard operating procedure, dictates in this situation, to rely on the local law enforcement talent pool. They don't get to pick. They don't get to just say, "Oh, we'll take you." And like, this is who they're there to work with, and these people are assigned that. So, I guess my question to you in that situation is, what if you can? Obviously, if you can, you can. But what is there ongoing communication in that situation with no familiarity, common
comms? Well, first I'm going to touch on like the local part, right? So you're absolutely right. Like, not every department, agency out there is created equally, right?
Exactly.
However,
standards, everything.
However, I would argue though, like, while they're not created equally, like, they provide the function for what is needed in that area.
Yeah.
Right. So, for example, like, a police department in a small town does not need to be at the same level as a police department in Miami.
No, but but that comes into question. That's why I bring it up, because when you have a president,
well, and that's what I'm saying though, is there is no like central like like a centralized like training standard for all these different.
People need to understand that.
Like I'm not saying whether this is the right way or not. I'm just stating that that's how it is right now.
Yeah.
And that's also like realistically it can't not be that way, right? Especially you have sheriff's, sheriff's departments where you vote in the sheriff, and they're the ones that are deciding, and whatnot.
100%. So you need to know that though. That's context that I don't think most people have.
Yeah. So I'll actually touch in on the communication part here in a second. So first, I want to continue going like what a normal site should have. So you have the locals. You also have, agents that are like, so protective intelligence agents, which are there in case like you have like a random crazy person that shows up that they can pull them aside, interview them, figure out if they're like a legit threat or if it's just legit crazy person, which happens more often than, people realize. And then then you should have like your counter surveillance unit, which, are supposed to blend in with everything. Along with that though, is you have a control room. In that control room, you typically will have a senior agent that mans like the radios, manages all the comms, and inside there should also be a representative from the local police department with them, especially at something this high. And then you like a lot of times you also have a representative from like the local fire department, like all, different departments. So they're all in one place. In the event that something happens that like, say, like I just got done reading some reports saying that two police officers, they heard about the guy. They were looking all around the building. They couldn't find him. And then one of them boosted the other guy up and he's like hanging up and pulled himself up. And when he looked up is when the suspect, pointed his rifle at him and he lost, he lost his grip and he fell about 8 feet. And then they called it in, right?
Oh, so what you just said though was not what was reported, right? What was reported was some dude walked up on a ladder, saw the guy, pointed his rifle at him, and he crawled away.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it wasn't that he actually fell.
Yeah, this is coming from their city manager as of today, right?
Yeah.
That is stating this. I'm not saying excuse me, I'm not saying that that's fact. I'm saying that's what's being reported by the city, the city right now.
Right.
So like the whole idea of them not having comms together, like, is kind of the types of things that makes me like, that's weird, right? Because they should, like, there is no,
right?
yeah, exactly. Like, but like they're both sides claiming, like they didn't hear anything from either side type thing. And like, if they're, like to me, like there's no excuse to not,
right.
So like, this is obviously something that like, this is part of like, an investigation that really needs to be hammered out. So,
but we've seen
so one of the things though, it's like, so when the site agent and then the advance agent, when they're done with all of planning and all the paperwork, they got to, dot their I's, cross their T's, then they push it up to leadership to approve the plan. And so it takes like at least a GS-15, sometimes a GS-14, but a big event like this, it should be a GS-15 that looks through the plan, approves it, right? So now that burden of like leadership and responsibility falls on that higher level because they've approved this plan. So like the whole excuse, like, oh, younger agents, didn't account for this, that, and that. It's like, no, it'd be like in the Army. It's equivalent of the Army of having a lieutenant make out the plan and then having it signed off by a full-bird colonel or higher.
Well, it's a deliberate risk worksheet, right? Like, hey,
and not only that though, is before the event even starts, the site advance and the lead advance, they physically take a GS-15 and walk them through the whole site to physically and verbally,
voice
and that leader is supposed to poke holes in their plan.
Right.
It's supposed to essentially like on the spot red team it and be like, well, what do you do if this happens? What do you do if this happens?
Does that happen, or is that a check the block type of thing?
Every single advance that I've ever personally been a part of, that has happened.
Okay. I think
and especially something this level.
Yeah, I
find it very hard to believe that it did not happen. Right.
I would as well.
Because these Trump events are huge.
Right.
Huge, you might say.
Huge.
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 Yep.
I'm saying largest. I wouldn't say the other two. I'm just saying very big.
So that's like the planning part and like, explaining a little bit of like what it's supposed to look like. And that's where like and then Clay and I did a space and Clay was able to talk more on like the whole sniper aspect of everything. And like more and more stuff coming out that like, the sniper teams potentially like in their mind, that was supposed to be a clean building. And by when I say clean building, clean is something that's been checked and is only friendlies on or, on it or in it. Right.
Yeah. That's pretty, that's pretty good.
The reporting right now, because it keeps on changing, but like the reporting right now is that there either was an, like a local SRT team inside it. It's supposed to be staged there. And there was also supposed to be a counter sniper team on top of the building. And whatever excuse you want to take that they've said, like the whole excuse of it being too hot, it's like, I call bullcrap because you signed up for this specialty team.
And there's ways to mitigate that, right?
You signed up for that specialty team. And I'm sure you've also been through way worse. The whole excuse that the pitch, like that right there, I think was a leader trying to make a last minute excuse. Like when the director was being interviewed. Yeah. Because there's no way somebody like.
Well, it doesn't that's you hearing this, right? A former agent. You have just regular everyday American people hearing that and are like, "What the fuck are you talking?"
Yeah, like the whole like OSHA stuff, just like are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? I can't tell you how many things I've done that are inherently dangerous, and it's because of the job.
That's the point, right? That's the fucking
It's
job.
literally
That's
the
what you
job.
signed
It's
up for.
literally, it's
Right.
literally why I signed up for
You know
it.
what?
It's because
It's one of my favorite lines in the movie Departed, where he's like, "I'll tell you what, they signed up to use their guns." Like that's what we're talking about here.
yeah,
This is what we
yeah,
signed
exactly.
up for. You signed
You
up
know,
to do dangerous shit on slanted roofs, maybe. But you know what? The last thing you want is your fucking leadership making an excuse for why you weren't put in a position to
yeah,
actually do your job. That's
yep,
stupid. That's
exactly. You know, and like so one of the things that, you know, I don't have all the details, but I'm gonna say like all the people that are trying to like go after the sniper teams, you know, just like, hey, like first of all, like if you were told that there's supposed to be friendlies on top of that building, are you gonna shoot that person? Like because
yeah. That's,
you know what I mean? Like I don't know, you know, because you can't tell from that far away if they're a friendly or not.
mhm.
You were told that it's supposed to be a friendly.
Yep.
You know, number one. Number two, like yes, we keep on making fun of like the excuse for the slope, but there is a slope, right? And so you could low crawl
Oh,
on the other side of
no,
the
no, oh,
slope, you know,
absolutely.
like what, you know,
For
without
sure.
being seen. Then
For sure.
also, we don't necessarily know how much that tree that's right there, you know, impedes the line of sight for, you know, the counter
Counter
sniper team,
snipers. Yeah, yeah.
right? Um, and yeah, like the one I do like, I can tell you my opinion, like, and now it's coming, like, I think it's pretty accurate now. Like the one team that we kept on seeing footage of, they're not the ones that took the shot.
Oh, really?
It's, yeah, yeah, it's
Oh, I
the
didn't know
other
that.
team. Yeah, well, because like
The
it
ones that
doesn't
were
look like they
farther away.
actually. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah. So the ones that like I think there's less footage of them.
Yeah.
But needless to say, so like that's as far as that goes. Like with the counter snipers, they definitely are being, you know, like they've got paid vacation on the beach right now, meaning like so like in law enforcement talk that means like you're on administrative leave. You are no longer working until like everything gets
Right.
you know
Which
figured
does
out.
suck, right? Because what you're
Yeah,
doing, like, there's a lot of things, right? You're taking
yeah,
continuity out, you're taking familiarity out, and you're putting, you know, you're further putting the actual person who's supposed to be getting protected at risk. But all right, so a lot of questions I have for you, man, a lot. And let's start with a question I got from a buddy, and you can speak to this way better than I, because again, I think we talked about this off camera, and it seems like an obvious thing, but we know how this stuff works. I'm going to read it verbatim. So why, quote, why didn't a drone spot the shooter prior to rounds being fired, which would allow extra time to get into a safe location, which I'm assuming, which means move former President Trump before anything actually happens. So let's address the drone thing.
yeah. So as far as the drone thing, so I don't know for sure, you know, because I wasn't on ground, but there's a high probability that there was no drone present, and I know that blows a lot of people's minds away. But what a lot like I keep on saying this is outside of the presidential protective detail, the Secret Service is a paper tiger, man. And with the limited resources, the limited manpower, they're very stingy on where they send those extra assets. I'm not going to say one way or the other why or why not it was sent. In my opinion, like especially like if they're trying to say that, you know, there was a credible threat from a nation state against the former president's life, it would make sense to up everything anyways.
Right.
But as of right now, the simplest answer is the most likely answer, and it just wasn't there, and it wasn't there because of, you know, resources and not wanting to put those resources there with the limited resources that they have.
No, that does make sense. So this is from an ABC report, and I don't remember the day. I didn't put the days. I just started kind of adding these things as they came in. So the shooter, the rooftop that individual was on was supposed to be, according to ABC, a dedicated staging area for local police tactical team to do overwatch of the crowd. Now, if the answer was it was too hot, like we already talked about, or if maybe they were in agreement with the slanted roof thing, where were they performing Overwatch from then? Because
Good
that's
question.
basic. That's basic
Yeah, yeah.
security, right? You got a
So
crowd. We should probably have Overwatch because we want to see what's going on.
yeah. So one thing I will say, like I federal law enforcement cannot survive without locals at
Right.
all.
Yep.
They are the backbone of any law enforcement, like because federal law enforcement has, like I keep on saying, limited manpower, limited resources. The locals have, first of all, they have their ear to the ground, like they have those relationships in the areas, they know the areas, and then they also have the manpower that Secret Service does not. One thing that I brought up in the space is so many times I have seen, like, and I've seen it with the like local SWAT teams that are plussing up, given like, tactical support, is when Big Daddy Trump comes up on stage, they are no longer police officers, they are now spectators.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
you're right.
That's an excellent point, man.
I've legit seen, and I've had to like be like, hey, bro, like put your phone away, man. Like that's not a good look.
No, no,
Trying to take a picture.
you bring up such a great point.
Trying to take a picture.
Such a great point,
But
man.
but ultimately, though, like I said, like right there, though, none of this though takes any culpability off of Secret Service. So the example that I just said, where I had to personally tell a local police officer, like, hey, bro, like in a respectful, nice way, it's like, hey, bro, please put your phone away. Do your job, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Here at this place, there should have been a agent that was checking and making sure that the locals that are there to support you are either where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like you, just like with the military, like you trust but verify. Like you got to check up on your guys.
Yeah. No, I think that's kind of, it's a crazy point, right? Because look, I've seen this on my own side, and I'm not trying to pretend that I'm in charge of a fucking special agent detail for a former president, but man, one of the biggest things I just went out through our annual training, right? I've got soldiers in a unit attached to us doing designated guard shifts. And their whole point was to just be forward observers on the road before they came to the ECP. And I walked up on them to actually relieve them, to take that position away. They're all on their fucking phones. And everyone's response to me was like, oh, we stopped and checked every vehicle. It's like, bro, that's not the fucking point.
Yeah.
While you're here for your designated 2 hours, put your fucking phone away and do your job, because everyone behind you is relying on it.
Yeah.
Right? So
one of the
basics in fucking security, man.
And that's one of the things that like just drives me crazy, because like when I'd be like either a site lead or even a lead, I'd go check my different post standards, and like you'd find guys working on casework when they're supposed to be focusing on protection. And it's just like, what are you doing? It's like, what are you doing? Like you need to be here 100% doing protection, know? And then like I had like a reputation of being a dick, because I would essentially be like, okay, well, bro, like say like somebody comes at you from right here, what are you gonna do? And then, all right, what are you gonna do if they come to, what are you gonna do? Like, and then I'd remind them, it's like, bro, like you as a post stander, you are a glorified speed bump. Yep. You are going to die. You are going to die if somebody attacks. It's just, how many dudes are you taking with you before you die?
And the point is to give the people behind you a chance to fucking respond.
That's the whole, literally the whole point. It's like, hey, make it worth it so we can name some basement in an obscure government building after you. You know what I mean? Like make it worth it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people like don't understand the gravity of the job. Like they don't understand like what it is you're being asked to do.
Yep.
And then like the other part, which I'm not going to personally get too into, but the whole DEI stuff and
All right.
standards.
Well, no, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's hold on for now because
Okay.
I do have another follow up to that. It's and I'm reading this is verbatim. So if it doesn't make sense, we'll pull it together ourselves. So if the Secret Service has to secure an area and there are more areas near or within the desired perimeter that need covering, how does the Secret Service get additional help from the Secret Service?
Well, so what happens a lot is like you get post standards, like when they're doing their risk analysis and figuring out how many post standards they need, and this happens all the time. That's why you don't get very much time off. It's because there will be an event, and so somebody from like a different field office like will get sent there at the last minute to go be a post standard. So we have this thing called ROTA, stands for rotation, and every agent is either on it for like like every other month, and it means that like if you're on ROTA, you're not allowed to take leave, and you need to have your bag ready because you could get called at any moment and be like, hey, you're on this flight to such and such a place to go do this.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
They pull
like
from the whole department, like all
from the whole agency, from the whole
the
country,
whole agency. That's
every field office. Right.
because you guys are clearly overstaffed. That's why they do that.
Oh yeah, so clearly overstaffed. Like I think somebody tried to say some bullcrap that Secret Service has like 6,000 special agents.
I
No,
saw 7,500 or some stupid shit.
7,500. Sure.
Yeah.
No. Secret Service has 7,500 employees. That's special agents, uniform division, admin. You know, like all this other stuff. Right.
It's not a big agency.
Like as far as like special agents, it was like 3,000 maybe.
I honestly didn't even think it was that big, but that's
yeah.
okay.
No, I'm being gracious here.
Yeah,
right.
No, I get that. I honestly legit just gaming it out over cities and across the country.
Yeah, and they're hurting so bad that they have programs now where they're hiring kids straight out of college with no life experience.
Awful idea. Awful idea. Like, and it's not just the Secret Service doing that. That's a lot of places, but yeah, it's just terrible. It really is. Because I think you brought up a great point, but no, you brought up a great point, and I don't know if it was in your space or if it was just something we talked about in a chat, but and I would say, going back to the example I just provided on these individuals that I had tasked on a fucking, like, this is your detail for the moment, like, this is your post. They don't understand what they're doing in terms of gravity. Like, they don't get like, hey, your job is to fucking die, essentially, for this individual that you're here to protect. It's not to have a cool badge. It's not to get the take-home car. It's not to have the fucking cool title on your little LinkedIn profile. Your whole job is protection, which means on your worst day, you're not going to survive. And when it comes down to the soldier thing, man, this is general order number fucking 1. I will guard everything within the limits of my post, and I will quit my post only when properly fucking relieved. The fucking's not in that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, this means
how many
something.
soldiers even know the general orders?
Dude, I've already tested this theory. They don't. Like, how have I been in long enough to? I remember this shit like it was day 1 in basic training, and I don't know where the disconnect is, but I'm just saying. The point of me bringing that story up is you are spot on, is that people, I think, are seeking titles and prestige without understanding what comes with that. And that's very dangerous because you're not getting the people that can actually perform that, because there's a very big difference between the type of person who seeks that job because it's a calling and the type of person who seeks that job because they want the title.
Oh, 100%. Because don't get me wrong, like there is a lot of pride. Like, yes, I understand a lot of people hate Fed boys, and I get it.
No, but I get it. Bro, the fucking Secret Service, like
there is a lot of pride, like, first of all, like you were picked, above so many other people, and you made it through training, and like, don't get me wrong, like training isn't like impossible, but it's also not super simple.
Yeah.
It's physically demanding. It's also demanding, like it's mentally demanding, and if you fail in protection, like you just fail out, right? You know, like there is no do-overs.
Yeah.
But I had mentioned this in the space too, is while you're in training, yeah, like the physical demands are very high and the standards are very high, you know, and like you have to perform well on your PT test. Otherwise you get kicked out. As soon as you get to your field office, unless you try to go to a specialty team, so Secret Service has a quarterly mandatory PT test, but it's self-reported. And as you can look on
Why
TV,
though? Like, see, I'm glad you
no,
brought
I
that
can
up.
tell you. No, I'll tell you why. Though. The why is because they are so undermanned. Like it would be almost impossible to like set up a, you know, ahead of time, you know, PT test and have X amount of people there because, like, well, you remember when I was in, like, how many times would I like text you like, bro, like I thought I was gonna have the weekend off, but I'm already like going someplace else.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get that. But you know what? Maybe when you get to the place you're going, this is what you're doing, right? Like, I think I get it because like I can
Well,
throw forward a
the
ton of
real
examples.
reason, no, the real reason,
Man, we could do a stand down on fucking everything, but we
yeah,
can't
yeah.
do a stand down
Well,
for
so,
PT test.
like if you want the brutal, honest truth, real reason why they don't do that is because leadership is also pencil whipping their PT test,
Exactly.
and it would require them to actually have to
It's the
perform.
OERs and NCOERs. It's the same shit, man. Everyone's just fucking. Yeah, no, I get that for sure. All right, so the next thing that I want to skip this and then go to this. So there's reports that um, the suspect's car was found with explosives. Do you think, or have you considered that, if this guy would have executed his plan a little better, that maybe the plan was kind of like a mass shooting, mass cal event? And he was going to detonate that at some point. Or, I mean, there's also been, I guess, reports that he was supposed to detonate the car as kind of a diversion and then do the. So I don't know. There's a lot of shit going around, but I would assume if that's like accurate reporting, it does make sense, right? Like, cause hazard.
Yeah.
You're
So
gonna die no matter what.
yeah,
You're probably trying to do as much carnage as possible.
yeah. So um, I don't have enough like personal like
Yeah.
knowledge on like the like outside of like what you and I have read on the internet and whatnot. And one of the things that made me a bad MI soldier was I don't like to speculate unless I have enough information. So it's just like
Which is one of your favorite things is to talk about. Whenever you hear an MI soldier talking, you should probably just not listen to it.
yeah, it's just like like this is like 50-50, bro. It's like you could be right, but like you just came out, like you just made all that up right there. It's like it makes a good plot for a cool story.
Yeah, cool story, bro. No, that's fair. All right, so I do want to get your take on this because, and I get it. Like, I take things personally, and sometimes maybe a little more personally than I should, especially when it comes from people who have no like involvement in the organization, right? So, um, one of our mutual buddies, a tweet about like a loss of trust in all of the like the government institutions, right? From the FBI to the CIA to well, if anyone had one, we wear AFT hats for the ATF. Like, I mean, just
Yep.
all these like historically, I guess, kind of revered in a way institutions have
Yep.
lost a lot of that over the last decade plus. And they put out that now it's the Secret Service's turn, in which I really, really hope of all of them, it's probably the one I really hope is not true. But like, I don't know. What do you
So
think about that?
my feelings on that is I 100% understand that, and this could have been avoided. Like Secret Service could have totally shat the bed, but if leadership would have actually taken responsibility, they would have been able to maintain the trust of the public instead of trying to spin things, instead of trying to like push off, the burden of responsibility. If leadership, like in the past, is something this big screw up, even if you didn't even have anything to do with it, but because it happened under your watch,
Yep.
you turn in your resignation.
Those days are over, man.
But
we saw it with the Afghan withdrawal.
Yeah, no, but just like with the Afghan war, like a lot of people in leadership are there because they're politicians. They're there to get to that next step. They're there to get that checkpoint, that bullet, so that they can move on to that next cushy gig. They can get on, to that more prestige, that more respect, right? Whereas people don't understand, like if I had a leader that took the responsibility and owned it, think about how many agents would step up to and be like, I also screwed up here,
For sure.
exactly. And instead of trying to hide your screw up to save your own ass, right?
Accountability.
And like what so like what they're trying to do, like what it teaches is from top all the way down to bottom is don't take responsibility. It's push somebody else under the bus if it gets you forward, right? Which is the unfortunate truth on all government work, whether it's, like federal law enforcement agency or more bureaucratic agency, or even a lot of times in the military. Like I have said numerous times, like officers lose their soul somewhere between 04 and 06, like, and it's because of exactly this type of stuff. But yeah, man, like I can see it and I understand it, and it hurts me because I still have a lot of pride and I love the people that I worked with. I love the people that I worked with, and like I'm proud of the guys that I know. Like it did not go down perfectly, but I'm still proud of the people that I knew because like yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but I saw people. And I'm proud, like each and every single person that was on that stage, they were actively trying to put their body between, the former president and whatever threat. And they were trying, trying to make sure that, if something happened, they would take it and not him, right? Tactics wise and like how it was executed may not have been perfect. And like, there's a lot of lessons learned, a lot of things we need to fix. Yes. But it takes a lot of character and a very special individual to put themselves in that position.
I agree 1000%. And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to touch on something that, Dave Park was in your space. And man, I saw so much of this, and it was the one thing that I was like, man, y'all can bang on everything you want, but banging on that female agent trying to holster her weapon, right? And Dave was like, you know what people do? They practice the draw. They don't practice the holster. And when he said that in the space, I was like, dude, that's fucking so right. Because even in like perfect scenario all the time, like just now, like just based on MTO, I carry that M17, and I'm like every fucking time I'm like, what the fuck? Like it takes me at least 2 times. So let's put that into a stressed environment where you're looking for potential shooters. Like this shit just happened. Like, and you got all these fucking nerds who are just like, oh, this shit can't even holster a weapon. It's like, bro, who the fuck are you to say anything when you've never been in a situation at all?
Like, because like you're in the spaces, and I'll still like, and I've had like personal friends that like still try to argue with me on it. It's like, okay, cool, man, but like that's not something that I'm going to harp on her for.
No,
like,
it's low. It's the lowest hanging fruit.
Man. Like in the future, definitely like practice that. But like on the other side, it's like, dude, like that is the ultimate adrenaline dump you've ever had.
Yeah.
And your protectee now has left. They're like about to leave, is in a safe space. And then like something that a lot of people is like, well, that's why you always look when you reholster. It's like, actually, no. Secret Service is not trained that way. Secret Service trains that look holster because you need to keep your eyes up on the horizon at all times. Right? And then it's like, how many of you guys have worn a shitty $99 suit? Because like, don't get me wrong, like I have some nice suits.
You do. I saw it. Very nice.
The suits that I wear for work, you know, like for protection, like those are going to be my shitty $99, like, you know, like,
Men's
you know,
Warehouse, what's up? Men's
you
Warehouse.
know, because the reason, like, cause they wear out so fast, like you bust them out so fast, you know, like, dude, I can't tell you how many times I stood in the rain in suits and then like they're soaking wet, you know, just like, well, I hope this dries fast, you know, like, and like all this stuff is just like, you guys are hating on her for this one thing. We're like, there's so many things for us to legit pick apart.
Yeah.
But this seems like kind of like,
No.
and you like, this is for like, you know, like the cosplatriot type guy that, you know, just like, oh yeah, I could do this. It's just like, well, bro, like
You
you had
sign
20
up.
years.
Like you've already talked about, there's a shortage. Go on to USA Jobs. Feel free to fucking fill out the application.
Yeah, you like, and that's the thing is like something like a little bit off topic, but also on topic that I'm going to harp on here is we have a lot of mutuals, even a lot of friends that keep on saying, I never want my child or anybody I know to ever serve in the military, you know, yada, 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 or even like federal law enforcement. I'm the opposite. The way I look at it, we should never abandon institutions. We should be encouraging good men and women, strong men and women of like good character to join the military, to join the federal law enforcement agencies. We should not be abandoning these institutions, you know, because once you abandon that institution, it's lost and it's lost for forever, you know. So
happening though, unfortunately.
It is, but it's because this whole isolationist type mindset. It's like, no, like we should be encouraging, you know, people like, no, join. And then when you see something, call it out.
No, I think it's a good point, but let's go to our chat, right? And I mean, I'm still sometimes, I mean, we're going on like what, man, it's almost 5 years we've had that fucking chat going, right? But I mean, like, look at the dudes who are in that. Like those fucking like seriously, man. Like I've told you this before. I'm like, bro, what the fuck am I doing in this fucking chat? Like these dudes, like the dudes in that chat are incredible, and the stuff that they went through. And we've all done through the GWAT, we've all the GWAT, we've all gone through that. But to your point, you can see why men like that wouldn't want their kids to go through what they went through because of what the ultimate outcome was.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
That's
I
the
understand
problem, man. I think that's the problem. It's like it's like the lack of altruism is the problem. Like we're not fighting a great crusade, man. We're fighting our own government sometimes, and with the things that we are told and sold on the backs of, you know, able-bodied
Mm-hmm.
women going to fucking shoulder this burden because it ain't the dudes making the decisions going with us.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks.
I get that.
And but I do get your point, and I think it's valuable, and I think people should consider that. But I mean, dude, you're a father. Do you really? And you have a boy, so.
Oh, he's joining.
I love it. He's joining. I love it.
He doesn't have a choice. He's joining.
Oh, he's signing up, right? You're going on a date as soon as he turns 17, taking him down the recruiter, parental consent.
Yeah, yeah, and he's enlisting first. And
As he
then
should.
he can do what I did and do green to gold if he wants to become an officer and lose his soul.
Okay.
But you know, like no, like he needs to make E5, E6 before he crosses over that rainbow bridge.
Yeah, no, and to your side, right? Like I still think, and I won't lie, and I'll tell this story until the day I die. Like if it wasn't for the army, like dude, I was chasing a dream that I didn't have the talent to pursue, right? And I say that with baseball, right? I got as far as I could, which was college, and I was delusioned, thinking I was gonna always do that. And then 9/11 happened, and it woke me up to the reality that hey, you're just not that fucking good, and there's this other calling, and that went, and just serving in that organization of the army, like that's kind of what really has led me to anything at this point in my life now. So I think it absolutely serves a huge advantage, and it gives people a lot of opportunities, but it is hard to ask people to go do it when,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I get that. But like I'm not gonna like treat it lightly, you know, like, you know, but I do think that we should be careful not to abandon institutions. It's just like it's just like we abandoned, like during the 80s and 90s, like we abandoned like public education,
Mhm.
and now look at education as a whole after we abandoned those institutions, and now we're trying to fight our way back in and prevent, all that crazy stuff that's going on in that realm.
Um,
And like the thing is like war is guaranteed to happen because
yeah, it's inevitable.
like it's
Human nature, man.
yeah. And so whether we like it or not, like there's gonna be some sort of war, like when our kids are grown up. There's gonna be some kind of war when our grandkids are grown up, and eventually, like the way that we're at now, like eventually they are gonna have to force people into the military. And if they get to that point, do you want your kids forced into a military that is just absolute crap? Or do you want to be able to have, like good people in there that have been able to try to keep the ship in the right direction at least?
I mean, I would say like that. I'll take it as a question worth an answer. Is the last time we had conscription was Vietnam, and the army specifically sucked. Like the NCOs sucked, the officers sucked, like it all sucked because it was just post Korea, post World War II, and it was just it had gone, it had spiraled down. And that would be my fear of it, to be honest. And like I'm different from you, right? So I have a daughter, she's of age. You're gonna have a boy, at least one, who you're saying is joining. So that's different. Like it's very different.
I have a daughter too, like my oldest, daughter, and then
I know, but it's very different, I would say, for you. You have a son. Like that's different.
Yeah.
And like that is 100%. Like you're a fucking parent.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like I know, like it's sexist to me because I'm not forcing my daughter to join.
Well, I don't give a shit. I'm telling my daughter not to, like whether that's sexist or not. No, I don't. Like if I had a son, I would tell him. I'll be 100%.
No, if my daughter wants to, no, if she wants to join, she can only commission. She can't enlist.
Exactly. Yes, 100%. All right, let me get back on this real quick.
Yep.
So again, it's Wednesday. Obviously, it's been several days now since this happened. All this stuff keeps filtering out. What was your opinion? And I'm gonna drop off the camera while you answer it. But what was your opinion when you heard that this was a potential plot from the Iranians?
No, like I knew right away, not a plot from the Iranians. Like they are more capable than this. If they were to attack, it would be a coordinated attack. It would not be like this. And I'll just fill out air now while I wait for him. After I said coordinated attack, I've been smoking a My Father Garcia and Garcia cigar for those that enjoy cigars. Iran is capable of hitting us. However, the Iranian threat is not anything new. Ever since ever since we took out their dude back in 2019, was it 2020? Yeah, 2020. We've had legitimate threats on multiple, like foreign generals, foreign admirals, former president, former national security advisors. So, like, they're real. You can't take it lightly, though. Also, while we wait for him to come back, I do not do Zen, but I do like caffeine. Grinds. Get your caffeine via grinds. It's just like doing a Ranger dip. Doing commercials for companies that do not pay me. Oh, while we're at it, 209.
Okay. Yeah, I gave you all that time. Did you cover the coffee dip?
Yeah, just now. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I heard Ron didn't do it, and I think it's like one of our good brothers in that chat brought up like, and I did think it was weird. And I don't know this, and you and I are just going to talk shit here at this point, but that came out. the same day, JD Vance was announced as the nominee for vice president. And then I don't know what network it was on, but he was asked about Iran, and all of his prior like comments were, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna fuck with Iran. My greatest like commitment to my brothers is to not put my Marines or my former Marines into a situation that they don't belong in, type of thing. And then he's like, yeah, if we're gonna deal with Iran, we gotta actually give them like some sort of death blow. And it's just like, well, and then the very like all of a sudden like this Iran plot comes out, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I'm just so cynical and old at this point. I guess I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just like, why are we talking about Iran? And I get it. Trump pulled the trigger on Soleimani, whatever his fucking name is, and dropped the fucking
Money. Yeah.
yeah. And it's just like we get it, but I don't discount that Iran would probably love to see Trump dead, but
Well, the thing is, though, it's like it's not a new threat, though.
right.
Like the thing is it's
And I'm
been a
sure
very
Iran
high.
would love to see
No,
Biden
no.
dead. Like that's
But,
not.
but it's been no. Well, no. Like because of the Soleimani hit, like it's been a high level threat. From like because of that, like that is something that like like we're always like on the lookout for. But like I said, like if it was a coordinated attack, like Iran, like if Iran wanted to do something, they would do something. But like it would
This is why they do
instantly.
drone attacks over
Like,
Iraq.
well, I mean, like if Iran did something, that would legit cause a war.
Yeah.
Like even on a former president,
No.
like like
I don't think Iran would do that.
That's what I'm saying is
No.
it's like yeah, Iran's dumb, but like they're not that dumb.
I don't think Iran wants a war though. Like I just don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they're not like just like
They're probably agitators. Everyone's an agitator,
yeah.
but I don't think they're like, yeah, let's just fucking let's stack
like,
up. Let's stack up and go to war with the states. Like that's it.
Exactly. It's just like North Korea, right? North Korea will act up and act up and act up every few years here and there. And if you look, it's normally when they're going through some sort of famine type deal, and that's when they start like testing different weapons, and then like doing stuff to South Korea, and then like everybody's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna start a war, but then we get peace talks, and then we end up giving them money, and then they chill out for a couple of years because they know just how far to take it before they get their free money, and they're like, all right, sweet.
It's the old what's that thing called? Metronome. It's the old metronome of peace. Metronome of peace.
Yeah.
All right. So there was some shit I sent you earlier, and I was just curious what you think. Actually, no. Let me go forward. The parents of this individual, Mr. Crooks, they called the police before the rally. You buying that?
They potentially could have. Like I haven't seen like the logs, so like right now it's just he said, she said. I would need to see, like if they did call, there's 100% going to be,
records.
If they did call, there's going to be records, and there's no reason for there not to be records.
Yeah. I think the other thing, because there's a lot, like there's this whole time song, 62 minutes between the time the shooter was photographed as being suspicious and when the shots were fired, 20 minutes elapsed between time he was spotted by snipers and when he fired the shots. FBI Director Ray, I don't know who that guy is, said there's no known foreign nexus, but no established motive as of now. And that's something that kind of hits me. It's like, okay, what do you mean you don't know the motive? Like the motive of someone shooting at the fucking president, I think is pretty clear. It's, what I mean? It's not like, I don't know what his motive is. And there's all kinds of people who like, usually I give credit to for being pretty smart or just like, we don't know what his motive was. It's like, all right. But no, there's this huge timeline, and I think I would pull all that together and to package it into this question to you is like, is there a little bit too much paralysis by analysis here? Like, do we just fail to make decisions in real time without, just trying to fucking? And I'm not asking you to give up, like.
No, I 100% get it. So it might be. So my opinion, what I don't necessarily think it's analysis paralysis. I think it's nothing ever happens. My job is, like just getting caught in the monotony of the job.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, like staring at a dumpster for 12 hours straight is not fun.
No, I don't imagine it is.
Right. Yeah. Right. And then it turns into a check the block type of job where it's like, all right, I did this. But you're not really doing it. You're just doing it to cover your, CYA. Like you're not actually doing it. It's just like, oh yeah, I did it. And a lot of these things, like the reality of the situation is what happened here was inevitable. This was going to happen.
Why do you say that?
Why do I say that? It's because of this false sense of security, this hubris, this like just always relying on the past. So if you look historically at Secret Service doesn't proactively change their tactics. They always change something after something bad happens.
Fair.
A lot of times, like it's like we're gonna choose to do something, even though if it sucks and there's no real reason why we're doing it because this is how we've always done it. The whole like I got kicked in the balls, so therefore the people after me need to get kicked in the balls too, which is dumb. It's like no, if there's a better way to do this, well, just like with the drone thing, like I was saying, hey, we have.
Corporate America, there's that term continuous improvement. You're saying that doesn't take place. There's no like continuous improvement. Let's
it's a government organization. So no.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So what do you see? What if you could forecast? What would you forecast is going on right now, and what comes out of it? Because I mean, we just saw last night at the RNC convention, right? You had I think two individuals, at least two, arrested for I think one with knives and one with an AK.
Yeah.
And,
So one of the reasons I never like publicly like until like now because it's obvious now. I never publicly like call out the agency for being a paper tiger, even though I mentioned I got the name wrong, but so Carol Leonig from Washington Washington Post, she wrote a book called Zero Fail: The Rise and Fall of the Secret Service. It came out a couple years ago.
Okay.
It's a really good book on everything, like on Secret Service and like the failures of Secret Service. And like the failure of leadership. Like it points out that, the agents are working and they, really good people that are just working with what they have. They're doing the best with what they have, right? It's a lot like the Marine Corps, where it's like very, given very little resources, but they're still with pride, like, well, we'll accomplish whatever we can accomplish. Well, even better with like the little that we do have, right? But that's unsustainable for a long period of time, which is what you see, right? And so I just never really wanted to say it publicly too, because the whole thing of it being a paper tiger is, and we're finding out like a lot of people's minds are blown that there was no UAV support. There weren't, they didn't have enough people on the ground, this and that. Because in a lot of people's mind that don't know the Secret Service think that it's much more powerful and much more capable than what it really is. For example, I think I saw like Garantham. He was talking about how when he saw the weapons that the special agents were carrying, like they were carrying Glock 19s with TLR-7 alphas and iron sights, and that's it. They don't have special weapons. Like if you're just a regular agent. Mm-hmm. Like the specialty teams do. They have specialty weapons and whatnot. But you're a regular agent. And then also like the fact that like they're not qualifying on the range as much as they should be. Right? Like that's a perishable skill. And they're not going to the range, and and like a lot of that too though is because you're on the road a lot.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. And so like, but like the thing is like I never wanted to say anything public because I did not want to put other people that I still love in danger,
Yeah. No, that's
right? You know, like, but like now, like that whole facade's gone. Like, and then because that facade is gone, it's gonna embolden other crazies, or even worse yet, like people that are more capable realizing that, like, oh, they're not as capable as we thought they were, so we could actually pull something off.
and that was something I put out, and I was just curious, like, what your take is on it. Well, I have two questions to your follow up, or to follow up on you. The one would be like, because like, we've glossed over this. We haven't really addressed the actual guy who did this. No one, I don't think anyone really takes this individual as to be a super serious, capable person, right? Like, this is not you, Brink, low crawling across the fucking rooftop. Like, so do you think potentially this was maybe like a recon in terms of gauging capabilities by whoever's actually pulling the strings, or do you think this was really just some fucking 20-year-old dude who, I mean, these stories just keep getting more and more crazy. Like, he walked an hour with a fucking ladder, and like, I don't know. I'm not gonna get into all that, but I just find, like, so let's just focus on the first part, right? Potentially a recon.
So I think it. I don't know enough about the guy, but I will say, having dealt with a lot of people in that realm, like I think it's somebody that's obviously not mentally well, somebody that most likely has delusions of grandeur.
Yep.
And those people, though, if they get lucky enough, right, they can surprise you, right?
Yep.
Like, you know, like if you have somebody that's crazy like that, I'm not surprised that they walked X amount of miles with a ladder. I am surprised that
Fair point.
nobody said something about a dude with a rifle and a ladder, you know, walking. You know, like that doesn't make sense to me. But
Maybe
the
not the
fact that
walking
somebody,
part, but there are those stories of people saying that they were trying to alert people.
yeah, you know, like, and that to me also is, I touched a little bit on that in the space, is the unfortunate law enforcement hubris, where you have your regular person, hey, we saw this, that, you know, and it's like, leave the real stuff to us. We're law enforcement.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
decide that, right?
that's a great point. They're conditioned to kind of like, okay,
You know, and then also the differences between like local law enforcement versus like Secret Service. Secret Service, if you see the crazy, you see, you know, that person, like you actually have to like follow that thread, you know, and see where it takes you. Just because like you don't want to, like, just like this, you don't want that 1% chance that like this is a, like, you know, a real threat to actually something bad happen, which
yeah,
unfortunately is what happened this weekend. You know, but whereas a lot of times locals, they also deal with a lot of crazy people, and they're just like, all right, leave me alone.
yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, just crazy guy. You know,
I thought,
like it's just two totally different worlds, different types of law enforcement.
yeah, no,
Like
I
me, I
understand.
wouldn't be able, like I wouldn't even know how to give you a traffic ticket. You know what I mean? Like that's not my world.
Yeah, right. I've seen a lot of those, and you probably have as well. Like, there's all these models and these diagrams of this, like, the fortuity of him turning his head and all this stuff. And I think the latest one I saw, probably an hour or so before I got on here with you, was just like, he was he had Trump's head crosshaired, right? He
Yep.
had, and we all know this, right? Aim small, miss small. And I'm just
Yep.
curious, like, I get it. Maybe it was kind of like, let's go back to hubris. Maybe it was one of those moments, but it's just like, we've already talked about Trump's not a small man.
No,
Like, if it was
he's got
me,
a pretty big head too.
he
Yeah.
does. But if it was me, I'm not aiming for that dude's head. Why?
But then
He could
also
put
like,
four
but
rounds in his chest, man. Before, like,
like realistically, this kid also doesn't have any like
no,
real training.
I
You
totally get that.
know,
But
he
it's
just
just
has
like,
like what's on TV. You
yeah,
know, like like what's on
headshot,
the
right?
internet and TV.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you know, because like one of the things I even said, like, in, you know, in the group chat was, you know, like, guys, like, to me, I'm not surprised that he missed, because like
Yeah.
he's not us.
No, and
He
that's
has
another
not.
thing. And there's so many people like, oh, anybody who knows what they're doing makes that shot. And I'm like, do they?
Yeah. You mean like, like, and I'm not gonna lie, like, even at 150 meters, I'm not aiming for somebody's head, right?
No, you don't,
Like,
right? You never do. At that point,
I'm
you're
leaving.
probably
I'm
center
leaving.
mass or just below because you know the
I'm
trap of
like,
the bullet,
yeah, like,
right? Like,
I'm leaving. I'm leaving that for, like, my guys that I know shoot 300 out of 300 every, like,
which ain't
every
me
day.
because A, I can't see shit and my hands are shaky, so I don't fucking fuck with 300
You know,
meters.
but um, but as far as missing, like, to me, like, that's 100% God.
No, that's a great point. I like look, and there's a lot of people who will they will fight you over that because okay, well, if that was God, what about the guy who lost his life? And it's just like, look, man, it's probably not a good idea to argue with God because you're not going to get the answer you want. But we already know this. History is wrought with it. There are different times and different roles for different people throughout. And not everybody is going to enjoy the role that God selected for them. But
But the way I answer that
there's
is,
only one other person running for president right now, and that's
yeah,
the person
yeah.
that's going to be
Well,
protected.
the way I answer that is like, well, what about the other people? It's like, all right, for me, if I go out, like, if like, I don't wake up tomorrow, like, if I'm the one that gets shot in the head, I still want my family, like, I want family to use my story and my life to bring people closer to God.
Yep.
And even in my death, it still positively can affect other people, right? It can still bring, so everything that I do, and I know not everybody's a believer, but everything that I try to do, like, yeah, I try to live life. I love God, love people. And I made jokes that, like, the loving God part's not hard for me. It's the loving people part that's hard, right? But everything that I do, I aim, like, and I'm not good at it. I fail at this daily, but I aim to bring glory to God in every action, everything that I do, right? And if that means I can bring glory to God in death.
Right. And that's why I think like that individual, like look at this individual, firefighter, protecting his wife and kids. Like what is a
Like
better
that's the thing.
example? What's a better
Like,
example?
he died protecting his family.
Right. And what's the
That
scripture?
man,
There's no greater
like,
love than to lay down one's life for their others. Like that's what that was. Like this is the
yeah.
shit I talk about all the time when it comes to fucking abortion and all this.
But
Like,
you, like, that man is a hero, and, like, honestly, like, the media should be doing more to sing this man's praises.
I agree. I agree with that. That like this person, and I'm hoping maybe they're not listening to this, but I'm hoping somebody in a bigger platform is saying the same thing because this person should be highlighted right now at this RNC. And I don't know if maybe they're planning to, when maybe
Yeah.
Wednesday, well, it is Wednesday, maybe Thursday when Trump actually accepts his nomination, maybe then they'll acknowledge him more. But yeah, I've noticed that that's kind of been something that's a little bit lacking, but I don't think that will go forever. I think they'll highlight him because I know Trump acknowledged him in his first tweet after the whole.
However, like, I've seen the ugly side. I've seen people on the left trying to drag up old tweets of his, like, saying, like,
Yeah.
oh, well, he's just like some crazy right wing guy, and it's like, I don't care. Like, the guy could have said, like, some horribly stupid stuff online, but the fact that the way he died was sacrificing himself for his family,
Yep.
like, is like, to me, that's what you should be focusing on.
Yep, that's heroic.
It's
all the tweets, all that shit. It's innocuous from both sides. Like this is just shit
yeah.
people say all the time on the fucking internet. It is what it is. But no, it takes a special individual at any time to sacrifice their life for someone else. And you could say, oh, well, he was doing it for his family. It's like, okay, well, would you?
Yeah.
Are you going to do that? And most people can't give you an honest answer, I would say. But no, like again, it goes back to scripture. There's no greater love than to lay down one's life for their brothers. Like,
Yeah. like another individual. I don't know his name, but the Trump staffer that laid his body over like the two female journalists in the journalist pool.
No, I didn't see that. What is?
Well, yeah, like he didn't get hit, but like he put himself over them to try to protect them. These are people that
Hate.
like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like like he is putting his body on the line for potentially people that hate you, man.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
Like to me, it's just like
being a man.
yes,
That's just being a
like
man. Like to me, that's
there's
being a man. That's being a
yeah,
man. That I mean, that is what it is at the end of the day. Like that. That's the difference between being a man and the whole like girl power bullshit fucking like moment
mm-hmm.
that we're in, where it's just like no, like there's
But
a difference.
yeah, well,
Men
and then
are
like
who do
the
those
other
things.
the other thing too that I thought was so powerful too is when you're in a situation like that, you either got fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Fight, flight,
You
or
know,
freeze. That's awesome. That's pretty good.
like,
Yeah.
but like, what did Trump do, man? Like, he came popping up with that fighting spirit, bro.
Dude, you are 100% right, dude.
Like, and like to me, it's just like, it's just like, if that doesn't get like your blood going and like goosebumps on you, like I don't care who you are, it's just like, bro, like that's the American spirit right there. It's
No,
like,
and you know what?
you can
What you're saying
put the
it's
job.
spot on, and I'm tired of seeing the fucking dude. Like, look, we all have our issues with President Trump. We all do, right? I'm sure you do as well, but we all do. But I'm so fucking tired of seeing him attacked for being, oh, he was a rich kid. Oh, he had a silver spoon in his mouth. You know, my fucking brother nailed this when he said, this guy does not need this fucking shit. And that's what his response was, to go down, to get up and be like, hold on, let me throw my fucking fist up with blood running down my face and I'm going to yell fucking fight. Like, bro, that's fucking movie shit. Like, that's a dude who's just like, he understands the fucking moment he's here for. Like, that's fucking real world, cool, badass fucking shit. And I don't care if you hate the man or not. I don't care if you're a Democrat or not. Dude, that fucking moment is fucking cool as shit, because most people are damn sure will be like, oh, just get me out of here, right? Like Trump's like, no, hold up. First of all, let me grab my shoes. And then like that was a wild fucking moment to me. And again, like Clay said, maybe we got to get a redo on the camera with the flag, but that's a fucking epic photo, everything.
I mean, like I thought the flag was perfect, to be honest. It's like,
But it's fallen. It's not like the right angle.
I know, but like to me though, it just shows the beauty of like the chaos. It's just like it's like, dude, like it's ugly, but it's worth fighting for.
No, that's cool. That's a good counter argument to it. But yeah, like you're right, man. Like Trump doesn't need this shit. This dude could be just living his fucking life, being a fucking billionaire for the rest of his life, chilling for whatever years he's got left. But this dude's still subjecting himself to this stuff.
Yeah. I just got to take a time out real quick and give you some praise for your flow. Your flow is reaching a pretty good level.
I've been inspired by you, my friend. And wait, you ruined it. You put a hat on this entire night. Look at this. Look at that. That is pure.
So like I'm loving it.
Look at that. Hey, when's the band getting back together, bro? When's the world tour coming out?
Hey, bro, it's gotta have that flow, man.
That is good. No, I don't have that at all. This is just straight, fucking hair dryer, good to go.
Now we got Guile from Street Fighter over here, man.
Yeah, I'll be Guile from Street Fighter. The guy was legit. Yeah, no, what did you there's a question that came out of that I really wanted. So I don't know if you've watched any of the RNC this week. I haven't. I mean, I did watch on, what was it? I think it was Monday night when Trump made his appearance. And he did have that kind of look like he's, he gets it, man. He's been kind of humbled.
Yeah.
But did you get that same sense or what?
Yeah, no, for sure. So like, just like you, I've been on vacation with the family out in the sun. I just see I have like some weird little tan line because of my sunglasses on my nose. Yeah,
That's legit. Yeah,
beautiful.
Good for you, man.
So I've just been catching like highlights, on X.
X.
But yeah, no, like when he came in, like it feels like there's something different about him.
Oh, for sure.
Like the whole like, yeah, obviously near death experience, right? It changes somebody, but like I also feel like it gave like a different resolve.
Yeah,
like
to him for sure, because
more energy, more resolve, like, and yeah, it's very powerful, man. Like it's really hard to explain. Like I had shared in our group, like a friend, that I grew up with is definitely very, very liberal. But like he's jumping ship because of this whole situation, man. Like
I hope he sticks to it.
Yeah, like we'll see, but like also like I think he has to now because like he's got like 7 million followers.
For sure.
Like,
yeah, that might be.
And he publicly said this, but like now he's like kind of stuck.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. But no, I think that's actually really cool. That's kind of powerful though, because maybe, I don't know, maybe let's be like really conservative and say 6 million of his followers were already with him, right?
Yeah.
And now they see that come out. I mean, that's got to affect something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it affects all 6 million. It doesn't. But I mean,
yeah,
that's
no.
number. I
But
mean,
yeah, no, 100%, man.
That's a lot of people, man. That's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And like huge. But I'm sure like one of the things I find that I have really found funny is, the whole like left and like, oh, we need to tone down the rhetoric and
Nope.
like all this bull crap. And then like literally like the next day, it's just back to the same old, same old. Then like you got people like, like Luke Skywalker over here trying to make fun of him having a bandage on his ear. It's just like, it's like, have you ever been shot, dude? Like, I'm thankful I've never been shot, but like,
right.
Even if
like that's my point though, man. Like you bring up a huge point. It's like, have you ever been shot? Have you ever been fucking shot at? Like these are fucking like these moments change your life, or like that's real fucking shit. And everyone acts like it's some fucking joke because we're on the safety of the internet. And it's like, dude.
Well, dude, because I don't want to like say names or anything. But like I even shared in the group. But I had multiple people, friends of mine that are on the left that shared like, oh, this has to be like staged, right? This isn't real, like yada yada. And and I'm first like, bro, like this is literally happening. Like I'm not telling you what I think yet. Like I'm trying to absorb. So he's like, shut up, let me watch.
Yeah.
It's like watching a movie with a female that keeps on asking you questions during the movie, and you're like, dude, I need to watch this. I need to watch this. Stop it. Like I'll tell you the answers after the movie, but like right now I'm trying to gather information too, right? And then like giving me their opinions why they think it is like, bro, like you've never done anything tactical in your life. Like what makes you think how this should have played out? Like what's normal or not normal to you?
That's a great point.
It's just like,
no, that's great. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like, dude, the closest you've ever been to be shot at is like shooting a Roman candle at somebody. Like,
yeah, it is. It has been, and we're living in the society that we live in where everyone's like, I think Grandpa posted that meme, the 5-hour expert meme.
Oh yeah.
I love it. But no, it's so true. It's just like, man, people who've never they never have and never will be exposed to that world somehow have all these like opinions on what it's supposed to be like. And it's just like, man, it's pretty embarrassing. Like this is where we are as just like a society in certain aspects, because no, you're right. Like it wasn't even like a few days. It was immediate. It was an immediate reaction by some like, oh, this is fake. Look how he reacted. Let's attack the fucking actual Secret Service and their tech. Like, you fucking people don't know what the fuck you're talking about at
Like
all.
I do know, yeah. Like I know that like that that fake Indian dude, Lakota, whatever,
Oh god, yeah, the fake foot.
right?
He just got
Like he was
exposed. That's great.
well, that's the thing though. Is like he just got exposed, and then this situation happened. You know, the assassination attempt, and now he's going hard in the paint that like he thinks it's fake, and then also he doesn't give a shit. You know, like
That's
it's like
cool. That's
honestly for him, it's just like, oh, this is perfect. It gets the spotlight off of me, and I can piss people off with something else, so that they're
exactly.
mad at me for this. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, that's right. It is the good timing award, and he'll be fine, and he'll go back to his fucking Lakota man, fucking persona.
Making his X bucks.
Yep, probably at least.
It's like I hate you, Elon, but give me that teat.
Thanks for those
Elon.
bucks. Thanks for those bucks, bro. Man, I just throw them in a fucking account and let the interest take bear. But yeah, um, no, that is wild to me because man, it's like something like this, and I'm just gonna give it from a personal level at this point. I just had this conversation last night with my father. It's just like I went to Facebook and I pulled something down. I was like, man, we're a few days removed from it, and it's just like the word I think you used in your space about that agent who couldn't reholster was just like, hey man, let's have some grace, and that's what I was kind of pulling at when I sent this to my dad from a family member. It's like we don't have that, man. Like, how did we get to this point? Like to the point where we're now like, regardless of whether you support the person or not, like we can't even fucking just be a normal human being and have empathy for someone who just had their fucking life attempted to be taken. Like that, what the fuck? That's what's
But that's
man. That's what bothers me, dude.
yeah, man. It's what happens when you have a society that has for so long tried to separate itself from God and
Oh, for
make
sure.
itself, like make
Oh,
itself its own God, right?
sure,
It's
man.
the worship of self, right? And like to me, that is like honestly the center of all our societal woes
Yep.
is like we worship ourselves.
Yep. No,
Like
that's a
we
great.
know better, like it's arrogance, and like that's something I personally struggle with hardcore is arrogance.
Oh, for
But
sure.
the thing is, though, it's like when you are arrogant, you find yourself multiple times just humbled.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a
Yeah.
great point. I think that is a great point, and that's. I mean, I know you're not Catholic, right?
No, I'm non-denominational.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, obviously, I recently converted this
Mm-hmm.
year, but I had just this last Sunday when I was at Mass. I mean, a great homily. This guy, he's an older priest. I won't say his name, and we're not going to have him much longer because once they reach a certain age, they leave on. But he's at that point where he's just fucking honest, man. And like he
Mm-hmm.
delivered this homily about it was all about trust, and he harkened back to a time you know, uh, 20 plus years ago when he had to go out on a mission, and he was greeted with a parishioner after the fact, because they were concerned with who was coming to them. And the parishioner came up to them after the fact and he said, hey man, it looks like we dodged a bullet. And he highlighted in and focused in on that comment, and then went on to talk about trust. And he laid out all these things over the last 20 years, his entire 40 plus years as a priest, his entire 70 plus years as just it's hard to trust. It's hard to trust anyone. I don't want your trust. I don't ask for your trust. I want to earn your trust. Like that's what he's talking about. And then he
Mm-hmm.
said, and he ended it, and he walked off like mic drop moment with like, I have always trusted President Trump. Like that's what he said during the homily, right? And he just fucking walked off, and everyone's just like, oh, shit. Right? Like, and I've sat, for this entire year since moving down to where I'm at now, and listened to this specific priest talk all the time. Like,
You're in the frying pan too.
yeah, what's that?
You're in the frying pan too.
I am, but I'm also in like what honestly, dude, like we can talk about this more offline, but like I'm in the frying pan, but I'm like I'm I'm in a good spot.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Like this diocese is fucking wild. Like the people that
That's
like
awesome.
churches I've been exposed to and gone through to get to where I'm at, like I've been thoroughly impressed. But
Yeah.
yeah, but this dude, like, and that was his walk-off moment, and everyone's just like comes to their feet, you know, and it's just like, wow, like he said that, he was comfortable to say it, and it was the fucking day after. Like that's biblical, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's just like
Yeah.
it's the day after. It's not like, oh, hey, you know, like 6 days ago this event happened and we've had all this time to deconflict and all. No, it's like, hey, you know what happened yesterday? Here, let me go back to 21 years ago when I had to go to this moment and I had a dude come up to me after the fact and say, we dodged a bullet. And then guess what? What is he talking about? He's talking about the man, because he's also from New York, and that's what he was really dialing into. He's like, you know, you can say whatever you want about this man, but I've always trusted him because he's a New Yorker like me, and I've always trusted President Trump. And he dodged a bullet yesterday. And I had a parishioner come up to me 21 years ago, concerned about who was coming to us on a mission, because if we didn't accept and like him, and we didn't think that he was going to live up to what we wanted, we were going to send him back to DC because we didn't want him. And they said to him, we dodged a bullet. And that's what fucking Trump did, dude. Like,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
like, he dodged a bullet. Like that's as biblical as it gets. And you can sit here and say, well, what about the man who didn't? And we've already discussed that. We've already discussed that. It's like, look, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it, like, look, it's God's providence. And that was his other message. It's God's providence, right? God's providence. God is always in charge. He's always in
Yep.
charge. He always has a plan for what's happening to us. And the other part of his message was, because he's been and he's tying it back to, like, you know, the 35 plus years he's been in this specific region and paying attention to it. He's like, I've been listening to it in State of the Union addresses going all the way back to the 90s. And he's like, I can't stand it. I'm tired of hearing it. You don't dare ask for God's blessing at the same time pushing a pro-abortion message. You know, all these things. He's like, you're either with God or you're not. Like that's his ultimate message. And that was what he was trying to point at. It's like God still has a plan for the United States. And we don't know what it's going to be. It's still going to fold out. And just because maybe he did or did not save Trump in that moment, we don't know what that means. But
Yeah.
we are like our time is still unfolding. We're not done, but we also aren't free.
Yeah.
And it's fucking wild.
Yeah. It's definitely powerful, definitely humbling, but then, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I left you speechless. What up, bro? There you go. What did you already talk about the cigar you're smoking?
I did. I said my father's cigar,
Okay.
Garcia one.
Is that still
My
going
father,
on?
yeah, man.
It's been 2 hours. What kind of cigar lasts that long? I'm impressed.
Well, I've been talking a lot, so
yeah, I mean,
you know, so like, yeah, I was gonna make a very inappropriate joke at my own expense.
Hey, we're all
my own
jokes.
at my own expense with, you know, putting something in my mouth. But, but I'm not Cav, so I won't go that far.
He's not. He is what he said. For those at home, he's not Cav, which is Cavalry Scouts, which, as everyone in the Army knows, Cav Scouts are. Say it.
Oh, they're Walmart battle works.
There you go. Shout out to the old great Walmart battle org. He's a good dude.
And you don't want to be one of them.
No, you don't.
Unless you really are, and then it's okay if it's.
I guess. All right. Let me see let me go through my list of things to make sure I covered it all. But yeah, we went through that. Yeah, what did you think? I mean, this is just kind of innocuous, but what did you think about RFK finally getting Secret Service protection?
I think it was about time. So historically, only major candidates,
Yeah.
like candidates that actually have a chance, get protection. Historically, so I know a lot of people were trying to like say stuff in the past, about him not getting protection. However, he is a unique case,
Mhm.
like with his familial history, obviously.
Yeah,
So I'm slightly surprised it took this long, but
I agree.
but like I do want people to understand that this was not this is not a justification of whether or not it's right or wrong, but this was not outside the norm.
Right. Um, so I like to end a lot of these with just predictions, right? And I mean, my predictions have definitely shifted between now and probably going back, oh man, maybe probably at least a year and a half, almost a year and a half is when I probably started it because I thought things are very different. I will preface it by saying I thought there was no way they would ever allow the man back. And now I think it's shifted to I don't think there's a way they can keep him out. So, what does Mr. Brink think happens in November?
I think there's a lot of shifts going on. Um,
Yeah, somebody just got COVID, so that's a convenient out.
so I think there's a lot of shifts going on. Like, so I always thought, I want to be careful, just because. Well, I'm not on orders right now, so I can say political stuff, and I'm no longer a Fed boy, so I definitely can
You're
say
not.
political
You're
stuff.
not.
Because I had to be very careful when I was a Fed boy.
Oh yeah.
But I'm a recovering Fed boy. Um, like
BOI
my
boy.
my
BOI.
my my friends my friends effectively prayed the Fed out of me. Uh, so I mean, uh, ever since at least 3 years ago, I thought he was going to win. And you got like, and you would be one of the people that were like, oh no, I don't know. I was like,
No, you're right. No, you
like
100%.
from
Yep.
what I've seen, like, cause like I would be there firsthand at a lot of these types of things, and just like, just let like some of the things I'm seeing, and like I think it's really good chances. And then, um, like the media for so long had been playing coverage for Biden for, you know, how much he's just mentally gone with age,
Yeah.
and they can no longer do it after that debate. And so there was already a switch even within the media. Like you're seeing the media
Oh,
asking, like
absolutely.
they're like ABC, CNN, like they're asking him hard questions now.
Isn't that wild?
Like which now he's just like now it's like they're actually like instead of letting him put his foot in his mouth on his own, they're setting him up now, because it's like, oh yeah, like this guy's not going to be able to answer this question properly. And the unfortunate part though is society, like a lot of society had no idea how bad off he was because there was so much coverage, but now they're seeing it. And then they're also, well, if that's the case, and other people have been saying this, like, what else is not true? And so I think, and then even watching normal people freak out on people for saying such horrible things about the assassination attempt. Like I'm not talking about just like the doxing, like all that drama, which I'm
Yeah.
just staying out of that stuff. Um, but like normal people are like, no, like you can't say this, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Like the whole Jack Black, Kyle Gass thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even
No.
Jack Black is just like, whoa, I had no idea I was going to say that, and I do not support that whatsoever, right? Which is good for him, just like, hey, like, yeah, but just like,
Too late, bro.
but you know what I mean, like normal people being like, that's not cool,
Yep.
right? And yeah,
Yeah,
so
and that's that was the point of me bringing up like my conversation about a family member to my father. It's just like I don't know what has happened to you. I really don't. I'm sorry it's happened. You know, I pray that you find some sort of clarity. I think I know where it started and why it started, but the fact that you've allowed one individual to break you so much, I find embarrassing. Like I really do. Like that's how I feel about my family members who still propagate this, and friends as well. Like I don't really deal too much with the friends part, but 2016, you probably know this, was a fucking wild time to be on Facebook, right? Like it was a fucking wild time. And look, I will never sacrifice or lose friends, family over having a different opinion. But when you are purely like espousing hatred, or you're allowing like really um the individual to kind of dictate your opinions and make them really personal, like I think you need to grow the fuck up. And I don't have a problem like not seeing you in my feed, like if that's like, excuse me, if that's the fucking, if that's the outcome, like, oh no, I
Yeah.
don't see your fucking post, oh bye, like like, dude, I'm too old. I don't give a fuck. Like, I have my circle. I have my friends. Like, and I really mean this when it comes to family. Like, that I okay,
Yeah.
like okay, like I have my parents, I have my brother, you know, and then I have my extended family. And like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm not worried about anybody outside of my like. I'm just not like, because that's what
Yeah.
you're putting forward to me. Like you don't respect anyone enough to allow them to have their own personal opinions, to where all you do is allow your opinion of Donald Trump to like affect everything that you do online. And I find that really fucking weird. Just really fucking weird.
Yeah. Like,
That's where it started though.
yeah, no, for sure. Like it broke a lot of people's minds. So, but like 2016, like I saw that coming too, though. Like obviously I was still drinking at the time, but I made so many beer bets.
That's probably why
And
you
like,
saw it, bro.
like I made so many beer bets with everybody. Like, there's no way he's gonna win. Yada yada. It's like, dude, like I'm letting you know, because of the vilification of like regular people who are supporting him, like they're just keeping their mouth shut. Like
Yep.
he's gonna win. And like, no, no way. And it's like, bro, like at the time I was living in Seattle, right? And they're just like,
But
it's
that's
because of
that's
this
pretty
here.
wild.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, he's like, you live here. This you think this is reality. This is not
Yep.
reality. And then it was funny because myself and two other buddies, you know, one of them, you know, Army officer too, we went to a bar on election night in Seattle, and everybody was celebrating, you know, and the bartender was like, she was a huge Bernie bro, you know, and she's like sitting there, well, what do you think's gonna happen? And I was like, Trump's gonna win, and like, and even my friends like, no way. And it was like, well, like, bet, you know. And she's like laughing, you know. And then it was hilarious because like we're in Seattle, and so like, you know, 3 hours behind, like, you know, Pacific time.
Yep.
Like I watched in real time, like all the people in the bar like celebrating, happy, jovial, to it, like just like the energy just like getting crushed and crushed and crushed. By the end of the night, it was like wailing, like legit wailing and gnashing of teeth. And I'm sitting there like, laughing because I was like, I just like to watch the world burn. Like this is hilarious to me, you know. And then when it came time to pay our tab, you know, my friends wasn't even pay mine, and she's like, no, I got all three of you guys. You're on the house,
Oh,
because she was a huge
nice.
Bernie. You know, she was
Oh,
a huge
yeah.
Bernie bro. Right? You know, so
Which makes
she wanted,
sense, right? Everything's free. Like,
you know, she just like she wanted to see Hillary lose, and then
oh,
she's
okay, that's
like,
cool.
you know, like, and she's just like, oh, this has been awesome. At least I had people that would enjoy, you know, this wailing and gnashing of teeth with me. And I'm
No,
just like,
and that is 100% right, because I think elections need to be experienced on the West Coast, because you bring up a great
oh,
point, right? Because go back to 2016, like I moved to California in October, middle of October. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing at that point. I'm just like, all right, I've been there 3 weeks. The election's going on. I'm still sleeping on an air mattress in my new apartment because my shit hasn't shown up. And I hear, hey, Thunder Valley Casino in Lincoln, California is like a cool spot to go to. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is like a really cool casino. And I'm at the center bar, and they start reporting like Wisconsin, and I'm like, oh shit, Trump won Wisconsin, and everyone the same as you described, like the energy was just like, yeah, and just to watch, just to sit there and watch it, and I'm just like, just sitting in the back drinking.
Don't get me wrong, like I wasn't gloating or like,
No,
like,
not at all. Exactly. But just because they had no idea that could, like, they were so absolved on Hillary was winning.
yeah,
And I think it's more important because of what you said, though. You were in Washington, I was in California. Like, these are two states who are just, they just assume that the rest of the country is like them. So they just thought, like, no matter
yeah.
what, like, this was the outcome. And it wasn't. And it was amazing.
Well, and that's like the funny thing, just like California, just is like Washington is like so like the Puget Sound area is the only area that's like hardcore crazy. It's like once you get like outside of that area, it's like Washington's a very red state.
Yeah.
It's like literally as soon as you get over like the Cascades.
Look at Joe, right? Like, yeah, no, it's
Yeah. Oh yeah. As soon as
look
you
at
get into the
Dale.
Cascades,
Dale's up there, right? No,
oh yeah,
Dale's Oregon, right?
he's in Oregon. He's living his best life, right there surfing.
He really is, man. Like, surfing
and
and fucking ranching. What a life.
like ranching like what alpacas and like cattle and
That was a great life, dude. What a great life. Good for him.
when I grow up, I want to be like Dale.
We all do. All right, man. Did we nail it all? I think we nailed it all.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. Usually I would prefer to not have it at the, on the back of an assassination attempt on a former president, but that's lends to your level of expertise. So that's why you were here.
But I also finally like came out as a former Fed boy too. So
that's a little different. I'm glad you were able to kind of like confront your former demons, put all that to rest.
I mean, like, well, I always just like kept it like quiet, like, because that's also not all of who I am, but
no, you like at the time it was probably necessary for you to not be like, hey, I am agent, whatever, here's my number on Trump's detail, and you can find me on X here. No, like you did a good job. You were very
like now people will actually understand why I have a POTUS coin.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that is Brink. He obviously does a lot of things, but I would encourage you to please explore the Murder Cult sites. Wait, hold on. Give me 20 seconds. What does Murder Cult mean? Because people are going to hear the term Murder Cult and be like, oh, that sounds awful.
All right, so Murder Cult, it's just like, so Red Devil and I, so there was this, we had been talking for a while. It's like, oh, we should do like our own little like vet bro company, like tongue in cheek type stuff. And we're like, well, what are we going to name it? And we like legit, we're going back and forth with what we're going to name it. And then some Walbetarian like goes on Twitter and he was like saying some bull crap like, if I get X amount of likes on this picture, I'll burn my uniform for my time in the Murder Cult. And we're like, shut up, you nerd. But then we're like, that's actually a really cool name, Murder Cult. Like that's ours. We legit trademarked it like the very next day.
Excellent. That's awesome.
And then then we got then we were like, well, what are we going to use for a logo? But then we're like, well, we're both like nerds, and we're not closet nerds. We're like outspoken nerds too. We're nerds that do cool stuff, right? Yeah. And we're like, well, what if we like made our logo like Cthulhu? Which
is peak nerd, like for those who don't.
Super peak nerd. And we're like, and like we're gonna go with like
a Metallica song about it. Like it's just peak nerd. It's just
we're gonna do like a Lovecraft theme like on all of our stuff. And we're like, yes, this is perfect. And so we got a vet bro company where like it's Murder Cult. And we got Eddie McClintock, my favorite
American actor and director. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We got him to do our artwork, and like we told him like what we were thinking, and he's like, I think I see it in my head, like what you got. And then he worked on it, and we were like, bro, like I'm in love. And so he made our logo and made some of our artwork, and it's just grown since then. Like for us, it is more of like a hobby. Like like we're not making money to live off of it or anything, but it's just really cool to have a vet bro company that like our friends can wear our stuff at the range. And, it's also really cool when, you go different places and you're either wearing it or you see somebody else wearing your stuff. Cause like you mentioned that you had an experience.
Yeah, no, and I will tell it, this specific shirt, I was in the Pentagon Athletic Center, the Pac Gym at the Pentagon, and I walked by an account on Twitter known as the IT Short King, and he stopped me and he said, "Hey, do you know Red?" And I was like, "Who?" And the conversation went from there, and it's like, yeah, oh, which I thought, to me at the time, especially in that moment, like, because this was, probably 14, 15 months ago, but yeah, I thought that was fucking hilarious that
Yeah.
someone literally stopped me and was like, "Do you know Red?" And I'm like, "Yes, actually I do."
So yeah, actually, I want to share one of the like two of the times. So one of the times actually brought me to tears. So I was in the process of validating a team to deploy to another country, and I was in charge of the notional host nation forces that they were supposed to train, and I'm wearing a murder cult hat, and one of their NCOs was like, "Oh, I really like your hat," and I'm just like, "Oh, cool," it's like, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a cool hat, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I really like the people that own that company too," and I was like, "Oh, do you now?" Like, "Oh yeah, tell me more." And then he starts going off, like talking about like Red, and then he's like, "Yeah," and then the other guy too, it's like, "Ah, tell
Everybody
me
just
more."
loves
Yeah,
Red.
it's like, "Tell me more about this other guy," and it's like, "Oh yeah," he's a really cool dude, and it's like he's like, yeah, and he's very public with his sobriety, like, which I really think is cool. And I was like, "Oh, cool. How many weeks is he today?" Because it was like a Friday.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh yeah, I think this is like, oh, that's weird. I've been sober for X amount of weeks, huh?" Like make it really obvious. And then I watched like the light click. He's like, "Oh," he's like, it's like, "Sir," it's just like, yeah. And then like 15 minutes later, he's like, "Hey sir, like like I just want to say something offline and like out of training." He's like, I just want you to know that your public sobriety has helped me choose sobriety, and I've been sober for X amount of weeks."
Oh, for
And I
sure.
just really want to, he's like, "I want to thank you for being so willing to share your story with everybody." Like, and like, I legit was like, "Don't cry," it's like,
No, that's cool. Yeah,
yeah,
no, that's true, and it's cool, and I think it's wild to always, whenever, every Friday when you post it, just to see the fucking trolls show up, dude. It's just like, what is wrong with you people?
and I was trying to be nice to them too, though. It's just like, "Hey,
You do,
God bless,
like,
man."
I will give you the credit of all of us in our chat. You are probably the one with the most grace and just like normal, like you're just a normal person. Where everybody else is just like, like, you know
Well,
what?
so,
We're gonna roast
like,
everyone.
well, that actually brings so Rob Province,
Yeah,
like one of our friends,
yeah,
Neville the cat,
the great
you
office.
like, oh, super, like love him to death. Definitely autistic. But like he's been like, trolling everybody because he's very pro like doxing like these people,
Yeah, because he's been
because like,
subject to it. Yeah,
but he like, but he brought up a good point. It's just like, "Hey, we need people like you that think this is wrong, but also you need people like me that will do the wrong thing here and there." And
yeah,
like the
because
thing is, like,
we're trying to empower you.
like whereas me, that's not the route I personally would go. I understand you want the human part of you to want to go do this,
Yep.
and then also like the whole like the tweet that made my account famous, like about my dad, funeral thing.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, like I find it hard to find forgiveness for these people too. But again, like I said, I try to live life bringing glory to God in every action I do, and so therefore, me personally, I try to give grace.
Mhm.
Not perfect at it,
No,
but
no, none of us are. I for sure am not. And I have this conversation with the guy who was just on when I did the There Will Be Catholics episode. We talk about this all the time. He's just such a good dude. He's very smart. But yeah, he's like my check on a lot of things. He's like, I don't think we should be, doing the stuff that you just said. And I'm like, you're probably right, but I'm going to do them so individuals like yourself can put forth the proper example, because that's what you're going to require. We can't just be like, unfortunately, you need people like us who are going to do like the Clays and the fucking,
Yep.
well, I don't know if I'd say Hobby's a really good person at the same time doing the
Oh no,
same
so
stuff.
Hobby's
Hobby's a really good
Javi
dude.
is like
He's
he
such
is
a nice
he
man.
is one of the best human beings I know, and I love him.
Exactly.
He is
Yeah.
my brother,
Right.
and but like he also like every single LDS dude I've ever served with, it's like the funniest thing ever because like Garrison, the most polite, nice dude you've ever been around, but as soon as it comes to the war, it's like they turn into like this ultimate savage,
Yeah.
like scalping head. You're just like
Yeah.
you're just like, bro, what just happened? Like it's like I'm cool with it, but like you were not the person I was expecting to do that.
Which is also red, right? That's also red. Red's a good
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah. No, that is interesting. That's a good point. But yeah, no, I mean, look, it is what it is. We finally have the pendulum has temporarily swung back. I don't know if that's the word, to us, and we just have to capitalize. Like it's our moment, and I hope
Yep.
and pray for the best for President Trump. I hope he's able to pull enough people in, and because look, not even probably 6 months ago, I was just like, man, I'm just gonna do my castaway vote for RFK and just fuck it, right? Because I didn't want to vote for fucking Biden. I would never vote for Biden, put it that way. But I also didn't want to vote for Trump. I was like, man, I don't want to do this shit. But you know what? Man, I'm rolling with that dude because that like he's just a fucking dude, man. He's a dude, and that's all of his flaws and all of his faults. We all have them. And there's nobody perfect, especially in politics. And the people who cast the biggest stones against that man probably have bigger ones coming back at him. So, and that is my biggest thing. It's like everyone's just like, oh, he's done all this. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's a fucking sinner. And we all are. And that's what the point of Christianity is, to pray to Christ to forgive us as our sins, pray the Hail Mary, do all the stuff, ask forgiveness of your sins, because we're all sinners and nobody's perfect on this planet. But I'm gonna roll with that dude, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right. All right. There will be bourbon. You can find Mr. Brink on X. What's the actual account? I don't. How do you?
Brinkaville.
Brinkaville on X. You can find all of his apparel, his clothing line for men. Because you don't have women's shirts, right? Or women's.
I mean, like women can just wear small men's shirts.
Smaller stuff. Yeah.
Also, don't wear cargo shorts.
Yeah, no, definitely no. I'm pretty sure the shooter was found wearing cargo shorts, wasn't he?
He was.
He was. Yep. See what happens? You wear cargo shorts, you end up dead. Search for Murder Cult with a V. You can find him, find all of his apparel. Please buy it all, because I mean, you don't want to wear cargo shorts if you're going to find yourself in a moment. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and
All right.
yeah, buy it all because ammo is getting more expensive. So.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I just had my first order delivered to me today. God, I love this country. I can order ammo on Saturday night and it shows up Wednesday morning. It's beautiful.
I want to buy some from a vending machine. So.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. All right.
Yeah. All right, later, bro.